Activating your smartphone's camera in an emergency is fast becoming as instinctive as dialing 000. The technology is easy to use, at your fingertips, and connects you to social media sites eager to share your footage with the world. So, what do you need to know if you decide to film or photograph an emergency? And can you be held accountable for documenting it instead of offering assistance? Under Australian law, you have no duty to help a stranger involved in an emergency or accident. Michael Ebert, an associate law professor at ANU, an emergency law blogger, said this meant if you decided not to rush in to help, you were not at fault. That changes if you have some relationship with them or caused the accident, or it's someone who you have responsibility for, he said. But if you just see an event happening and have no other contact with it, you're under no obligation to go and assist. As for switching on your camera and capturing what you see, the rule is clear: you can film anything you like in a public place. People should be jumping in to help instead of filming, but, from a legal point of view, what the law says is there's no property in a spectacle, Dr. Eber said. If something is happening in a public space, and you're not going on a private property or anything, you can film it. There are a few situations when your behavior around the scene of an emergency could get you in trouble with the law. Dr. Eber said by hindering emergency service workers you could get arrested, as would crossing police boundaries to get a closer look. Police, and all the emergency services to a lesser degree, can set up boundaries to define the area in which they are operating, and they can restrict the right of people to come in or require them to leave, he said. If you're on the other side of the boundary, you can film what you can see. If you're ever told by an emergency service worker to stop filming, and you haven't broken any of those rules, the law is on your side. Dr. Eber said the violent arrest of a man at the 2013 Sydney Mardi Gras was a perfect example of this. In the footage, police can be heard repeatedly telling bystanders to stop filming, even though they were within their rights to document the incident. The emergency service people who I talk to seem to think that they're not allowed to do that, and we've got the right to stop them, and that people can film whatever they see, Dr. Eber said. Griffith University senior research fellow and moral ethicist Hugh Breaky said people often did have time to question the ethics of their actions in an emergency. He said casting yourself as the documenter could come with risks during and after an emergency. The fact that we're all holding cameras, and the fact that we're used to recording interesting stuff that happens in our lives, can mean that we'd actually think through this as a decision at all. It's just what we'd do. Drive Breaky recommends asking yourself 3 things before you press record. He said the first question was particularly important. Calling 000 as soon as you see an emergency unfolding may seem like a no-brainer, but if you're not the first person on the scene, you could be influenced by something called the bystander effect.